Hey guys, I purchased a new stove this week off of Amazon, and it's the Optimus Polaris Optifuel. So I did a lot of research on this camp stove before purchasing it, and it looks like it's going to be a really cool stove. But I wanted to do this review here today, and not so much a product review, but let's take a look at this box and what comes in this box, so that way if you guys buy one, you know what to expect. So of course, one question on this stove is going to be how much did it cost? So through Amazon, this stove ran me about 180 bucks. So you guys can see the picture of the stove here. It's the Optimus Polaris Optifuel. So this stove here actually includes your fuel canister, your fuel bottle. And I thought that was really cool because some of these stoves that you purchase do not include the bottle. So I like the fact it came with the bottle. Also, it has this, like, I call it the zombie green. But I think this zombie green color is pretty cool. The other feature, as you guys can see here, it has the one jet for any fuel. So this is a multi-fuel burning stove here. So some of these stoves actually has a fuel jet inside of it, and you'll have to replace that fuel jet depending on what kind of fuel that you're burning. So we can take a look at the box on this side, but you guys can see you got the stove itself. You have like the plunger or that pressurizes your fuel canister. You got a multi-tool magnet, a windshield, a carry bag, the stuff sack to put it all in, and then like the bottle itself. So this outside box, it's pretty good quality, it looks real nice. Let's open it up and we'll take a look at it. So this is our fuel bottle. Now this is a, what did it say, 0.4 liters, so it's 300 mLs or 10 fluid ounces. So I think this is the smallest can they offer. But the threads on this can look real nice. It's got a plastic top here with a gasket on there. So this way you could carry your fuel, put the lid on there. Feels like it locks into place there. So this way you can carry your fuel around, and of course it's got the danger and explosives part here that you got a combustible in there. And this is your fill line here. So when you fill this up, whether it's gasoline, kerosene, whatever it is, white fuel, but you don't want to fill it up past this line, so that way you could pressurize this tank to get the fuel coming out. So we also got a owner's manual. So it looks like this comes in a lot of different languages. We'll kind of flip through the pages here. So basically we got some instructions here how to operate it with gas canisters. So that's a really cool feature that we could use the gas canisters on there. Shows you how to turn it on and off. Operations of liquid fuel. How to connect your stove and your pump. Pressurizing the bottle. Preheating the stove. Turning the stove on and off. Maintenance and troubleshooting. So we'll read through this later. There might be some good tips and tricks in there. So we got our stove itself and the stuff sack. And then these are our aluminum windshields and then protective bottom here. We'll open this guy up. So this is like a heat shield here. So you'll put this on the bottom and put your stove on top of that. And it's going to do two things here. So one, it's going to reflect that heat up towards your pot, but it's also going to protect whatever's underneath of it. This guy here, this is just a windshield. Take a look at it. It's got the Optimus logo on it. So this would go around your stove, protect it from the wind, and also it's going to push that heat up. And this big hole is where your fuel line would come out. We'll keep digging in this bag here. So we got our fuel pump, the stove itself, a multi-tool, and that's it. So this multi-tool is pretty cool. Obviously it has all the different size wrenches as far as taking off fittings or doing any preventative maintenance or maintenance work on there, but it's also a magnet. So that's aluminum there. So that magnet's pretty cool. So you run the magnet underneath of the stove, and there's a fuel jet in there. So as you run the magnet, it'll push that fuel jet up and down, and that's going to clean out your fuel pump or your fuel jet inside of it. We'll unwrap this guy. So I'm going to take this tag off here. This is just going to be in the way, making noise. So this card here, it basically just has some basic instructions on how to operate your stove. So we have our pump itself, and we have some lubrication grease in here as well. So we could put that on like the gaskets or O-rings or inside the plunger itself. But this plunger, it looks like it's all aluminum construction. We'll see if the magnet sticks to it. It doesn't, which means it's aluminum. So one of the reviews I seen is people were asking whether or not this was plastic or metal. So I could see it's got like a little bit of paint chip at the bottom there, or maybe where it didn't cover it. But I'm gonna say this is aluminum here, not plastic. Some people were worried about it being plastic. I like this part here. So this is your actual fuel hose here, so it'll suck the fuel out of your canister here. But this actually has a fuel filter on the end of it. So that's a really cool feature there. So if we open this knob here, we got our plunger inside. This looks to be an actual leather gasket here. I think that's a really cool feature. A lot of people like the leather gaskets versus the plastic ones or rubber ones. So on the outside of all this, you have like this turning knob, this turn knob. The outside here has like the knurling on it, but all these checkering patterns look really nice, have good positive grip to it. Not so sharp that it's like cutting your fingers, but it looks really, really well made. You guys could hear that air, at least I could hear that air coming through the nozzle here. Now one reason I picked the Optimus one here is it has this on and off valve. So some of these don't have this on and off valve. So when you connect your fuel line here, when you go to disconnect it, if you have any like residual fuel in this pump, it's going to shoot out a little bit of gas there. But now with this on and off valve, you could close this when you go to take your nozzle off here, or the end of your hose, and that way you're not going to have that fuel dripping on you. And this spins as well. Let's take a look at the stove here. So the stove itself, I really like this long hose on here, so that way, whether you're using like a canister or you're using like a propane can, it's got enough hose on there where you can kind of move it around and adjust it. So on the end here too, it's got these little feet that come out. So that way when you put your canister on it, you could run this stove in like the upright position, or if you're in high altitudes, or if you're getting low on fuel, you could actually flip this canister over and run liquid fuel versus that vapor. And so that way, like I said, if you're in high altitudes, that's gonna help you out. Or once your canister is getting low and it's not working real well, it's starting to sputter, you could get every drop of that fuel out there. But we'll take that off for a minute. So this stove, similar to the MSR Dragonfly, but it actually regulates on the stove itself versus regulating it by the pump only. So far, everything looks really, really good. It's a really cool, compact design here. If we open these legs up, These legs are nice and firm. It doesn't feel like it's chintzy or flimsy or anything. It's got a nice level platform on there. I think you could definitely put some weight on it. And inside of this, it actually has like a wick inside of there. So once your fuel saturates that wick, it's going to help heat your stove up and then just make it a little easier for you guys to light there. This stove too, you could actually shake it and you could hear that fuel jet inside going up and down. So if you ever get plugged up and you need to clear it, one, you could shake it by hand, but you could also take your magnet here and run it on the bottom. And it's a little bit hard. You guys might not be able to hear it, but you could hear that fuel jet bouncing up and down. So you could clean this while you're actually using it. On the side here, it has the plus and minus sign, so you kind of know which way you're adjusting it. Overall, this stove looks to be really well built. I haven't had no time to get to play with it yet. So we'll have another video coming up. We'll show you guys how to use this thing and how we can burn some different fuels in it. But keep in mind, with it being a multi-fuel stove, you could burn gasoline in this, preferably ones with low additive. So like the cheap gas, you could burn kerosene in here, you could burn white gas. You cannot burn alcohol though. It has to be like a petroleum-based kind of fuel. You could do the canisters, you could do propane here. Now with the propane, I believe we will have to have an adapter to attach this can though. So overall though, this stove looks to be like super good quality build and construction here. I really like it. I'm pretty excited about using it. Now these legs, they actually got kind of a positive spring back on it. So when you open it, it's kind of hard to open a little bit. You could feel like the spring in it, but then when you close it, it also springs back into position when you close it. It feels really nice. Another thing I wanted to show you guys, so I have one of these QuietStove attachments here. And if you guys haven't seen this, basically you take off this top piece and this will go inside and the grooves here will interlock on the grooves in your cup down here. But basically this is kind of like taking your stove and then you're just tricking it out really. So this is going to help disperse that flame and give you a really nice flame pattern. And of course it's called QuietStove. So when you run your stove, it's going to drastically decrease how loud your stove is actually running. So that way maybe you're in the woods or by the creek, you don't want to make a lot of noise. Or you're trying to have a conversation with somebody as you're cooking, but this will make your stove a lot quieter and it just makes it run more efficiently altogether. It gives you a really good option too. If you like to do a slow cook or like a simmering kind of cook, it really helps the stove have a much better, more efficient simmering capability. But we'll talk about this more in another video, but it's a really cool option for you. So in the drop down box below, we'll leave this stove on an Amazon link. And we'll leave this QuietStove attachment. And like I said, this stove is going to run you about 180 bucks, give or take a little bit. And the QuietStove attachment, that's going to be about another 75. So overall, it's a kind of an expensive stove, but it looks like the quality of this stove is going to be really top notch. And of course you got the QuietStove, so you guys could check out their website too, and you could buy these for lots of different stoves. And it really takes that stove to the next level as far as performance goes. So they're a really cool option here. So this was a pretty quick review here just to show you guys what it looks like when you purchase your Optimus stove. And of course, don't forget your QuietStove attachment with it. And in an upcoming video, we'll show you guys how to use this in detail, and maybe we'll go ahead and cook something on there too. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you next time.